Okay, wow. That's most of my prep down the drain. Not that I prepped that much. I saw they play. I couldn't like prep something directly, so I just looked at one line where I felt I anyway needed to revisit some stuff, and they had it was one of the more likely options there that we would face. So I decided to revise that, but that will be then for another game. So now the question is, what kind of English do they want? They can still, I will keep giving the option for going for King's Indian. So for example, like in the past I always played c5, and even now recently I sometimes still played it, but like I would be happy to face another King's Indian. So I will allow them that. Guess if they want to go for it, this is probably their last option. Since if they now go for the fianchetto, I think I play c5. Could still like wait for one more move with d6. Since anyway, both against like, okay, they go for d4, so now I play knight f6. I don't want to play, yeah. So I've not sure really. They have played some d4 too, and I had checked, but like just the overview of their openings I did a couple days back for like half an hour, but I don't really remember. I just choose then one line I would like revisit a little bit, and for that line I did then later in the week, maybe 1-2 hours, some revisiting, but not the King's Indian, so I don't really remember which was their line they go for. They're taking like quite a lot of time here, since yeah. I was thinking there was the back in my mind that I played this, and it is yeah, this I played in the past myself as white, and I really believed in it, so it's a little bit uncomfortable to face it, but we'll see. Okay, bishop e3. The move I thought was the critical line. So what was again? Like giving here the pawn with c5. Is that an option, or is it just bad here? Some lines it's still an option, but not sure here. For example, like with f3 instead of h3, c5 is still here, the move I play. So what's the difference then? Like f3 is clearly more weakening, but it is also doing more. Like it is exactly the same as h3 and it defends e4, but it's a little bit more weakening. And yeah, the big difference of course that like f4 is now in one move and not in two moves. Can also play e5. Then I need to try to remember what were some critical lines. I think it was with knight h5. Quick knight h5. That makes some sense, since then knight h5 and f5, since often the reply would be f3, but with h3 already in, now f5 is quite weakening. That's I want to like learn more the King's Indian structure. I think like now whenever I don't know, I always go for the Benoni structure since I'm comfortable in that. But I should like try to get as much as possible experience in the King's Indian structure. So the thing f5. Yeah. That's one thing I learned by preparing for my last game is that this structure, this is what you should avoid at all cost as black. But yeah, they lost the time at this h3, so I'm in time to fight to get my counterplay. You can't get it set up in because yeah, f4 just wins the bishop in that case. Mm-hmm. So I think there were some like when I played this as white, I had some very deep prep in some of these lines, but like yeah, so everywhere there was like a very real advantage for white. Okay, they go for this one. Now is this inclusion of h3? Yeah, not sure about that. Guess, but yeah. Since now I have the better pawn structure. Since yeah, I still can fight for the c6 square and they can't. the d5 square, and they can fight for the d4 square. And what was the second thing I wanted to say? Oh wow, they go for really for the trades. Does it make sense for me to like avoid trades? Are they doing this for match purposes? Very possible. But also, so I assume their plans to take with the king, which yeah is maybe king probably has a decent square over here, but since yeah, if they take with the knights, I think I can take this pawn. Yeah, I'm not that convinced. They already spent the tempo here with h3 in these lines. Also, often like the way to play this is with some knight e5 and bishop g5. I could like rook e8. I know is sometimes also a move in this, but it felt not right now. Like bishop e6 feels a natural square, but it maybe sometimes turns into knight f3, knight g5. So knight c6 is of course a natural square, but now how do I react to knight e5? Guess I can take. That solves their structure a bit, but then I can follow it up at knight e4. If they then need to take that, no, interesting. Actually, I could also play knight c6, knight e5, knight e4. They take here, rook b8. Not sure about that. Bishop e6, knight f3, h6, knight e5, knight e4. Assume they take, since otherwise I take on c3, and that should be very good for me. So take bishop here. h6 is hanging then, but b2 is also hanging. That's a lot of lines. So I was saying bishop e6, knight f3, h6. Not convinced. Yeah, I'm not sure here what's like my ideal setup. Also, since like going for, I can play c6, but then how do I react to knight f3? Since if I need to put a knight on d7, I guess I can move this knight. out of the way, so defending the pawn. And then my bishop can go here, and then the other knight can follow. That's an option. The moment I played c6, now whenever I move this rook, this pawn could be hanging. So this, maybe I should just go for this line. How would I capture? I should maybe with the c pawn, 94. Do they capture with the bishop? No, I have the bishop pair. Okay, that should, so maybe they should challenge this knight. With something like knights here. The can't like keep the pieces in that line. Okay. So here. Yeah, this has also an option, but okay, let's go for this. Development. So I have now lead in development, and at some point I will be able to play rook d8 with the tempo, gaining even more development lead. Their king has like a square on c2, but I have knight b4 ideas at least. So then it will need to even more tempos. Sometimes all, yeah, the development is pretty awkward at this moment. Yes, Leverkusen is about 1. Okay, so now, yeah, this knight before ID is in the cards. Guess bishop e6. And they have this 95. I guess they wanted to avoid the lines where I play here. Knight b4. Hitting that bishop. Does it go all the way back to b1? I have actually bishop e6, and against 95 I have rook d8. And maybe there are some ways to make use of some pins here. So still I need to be aware about this idea. I don't want to give my bishop like that. But yeah, bishop e6 also, I could be threatening knight b4, and then how do they keep defending here? Since if I start with knight b4, bishop b1, bishop e6, now they have b3. And it's not that clear that my knight is that well placed here. I have the check, but maybe now, yeah. They can't go to c2, but c1. I have knight e3. Still, still not. It's also an option actually, but like the first, don't see a big problem with just playing bishop e6, keeping the pressure on with my development lead, keeping the pressure with the king in the center, keeping options open too. Sometimes I can go knight e4, sometimes knight. My bishop wants to be on e6, so I think I need to start with that. So I guess with rook d8 sometimes. Like this is a typical, but there are like multiple temples down with going for this plan. Since they spent a temple on h3, which is, yeah, right now, okay, it stops me of playing knight g4, which is a thing. Like probably in this exact position, if I would like to play knight g4, but yeah, normally they wouldn't also normally trade up this rook. I'm not think they maybe did this to try to force some draw or something. And there can be of course a lot of reasons why to do that. Like for the league, they win their match with the draw, so it's a thing. But since we are not really fighting for the top spots, maybe still for top 10. I was not like I'm not going to like over push for a win. I thought I have an amazing season. Like I was quite okay with the draw too, but not in this way. Like not when they are begging for a draw. Then I'm not just gonna give it to them. Uh, since I guess it's a little bit different since if we can no longer win the match, so I think we can even not finish top 10. They can they met a match and probably still finish top 10, so that's still like a nice thing. Also different, like don't know how well they did. I guess Bertolini was a teammate for me last season, so we finished I think fifth or something, fourth. So, but maybe the other teammates didn't. Or I guess there is a chance. I'm not sure. Maybe we were playing up and they still have a chance for a podium finish. I didn't check that. So if that's the case, then of course trying to force a draw makes a lot of sense. Or another reason could be like because I have a great season. Maybe they also maybe want to make sure they stay on board one for next season. Okay, this. I think at least I start with rook d8. Yeah, since this is not an option. And then we see. Probably at some point I will need to take on d5, but maybe I don't need to force it. a lot of tactical opportunities actually here. Like, no, for example, normally, yeah, you would like do not give the bishop pair, so you would want, but that's a typical, a well-known theme that you can like take. But yeah, this happens in a lot of openings that you can't like take here. So yeah, this exact configuration with the knight and the bishop here, and a knight that is be able to take a knight on d5 or d4. But now maybe since I can move this knight with tempo on this bishop, maybe in some cases it's possible actually to take with a knight. For example, in this position, I think maybe taking, then playing knight before. Although it could be that my knight gets maybe trapped. In some lines. So, and the only downside possibly of rook d8, they can play knight f3. And then let's say I take, don't know how they will catch one of the two, knight e4, now they maybe can take here. Although that would be very risky, since, but yeah, my knight is now then hanging. But yeah, but I have also discoveries against their knight. But yeah, I have also just the option taking a knight before. They need to move the bishop and then I play c6. But then in the end, maybe this pawn is hanging. So maybe this is a position where I need to be pretty concrete. Maybe I take knight before. Let's assume they move the bishop back. To here, right? They could also defend it and then I can break with some c6. Can I do? Okay. Like they are not fully developed yet, and they have the king in the center. Can I use that? Knight here. Yes. No, that can't work, right? Okay. Yeah, I think yeah they will take with this pawn. Since if they take with this pawn, now I have also e4 ideas, which I probably want to avoid. So take here, knight b4, bishop here. I can c6, but I have e3. Maybe I should start with rook d8, knight f3, take, knight b4, bishop b1, c6. No, they don't. After a3, maybe I can take here since this. Oh no, they can block with knight e2. I can't believe that this can be good for them. Shouldn't be allowed. Maybe after rook d8, knight f3, they actually don't have really a threat yet. So maybe. Are there some like crazy ideas at b5? I guess they can always just play b3. Rook d8, knight f3. Now can I somehow use these spins? Let's say I do knight here. They capture with one of the pawns. And I move the bishop to c8. Not the happiest square. Take here. Doesn't feel right either. This is somehow good for white. It feels like so wrong. What if I just take and play 94 directly? They can take and play the knight to one of the squares. I can then, yeah, I have also the c pawn just. But yeah, the problem with this, actually this pawn, no, I eliminate this knight, right? So what, yeah, let's say maybe just this. It's like my bishop keeps blocked. I guess we both have sort of a bad bishop then. Like, does my knight, my second knight, have some nice prospects? Guess could go to some square like c5. There's... okay. I think I will do this. I didn't. But I already spent so much time. I don't see anything like really very boring with this. So I think I want to keep it simple. It's a typical thing where I spent a lot of time on different variations. Then I see another move and I play it in like only 1 or 2 minutes. It's very dangerous, but feels like it's okay here. Okay. So I wanted to. This makes no sense, right? They just go back and kick me. After a move, it's like c6 a move here now. Or do I just want to remaneuver this knight? Maybe to d6 actually. That looks a tempting square. Just need to make sure. I guess in some cases e5 need to be a bit. So that's a disadvantage of moving this knight away. Let's say they take, right? They could also say, I want to keep the bishop there. Very valid. I guess I have this also. But yeah, it's unclear like what's the follow-up for this knight. Maybe even g3 just keeping me out. So need to get like nice squares for my knight. Of course, this is a very nice square. That's no problem. The second, and this is a potential nice square too. Then the question is like, is there b4? Now with they captured here, now b4 is like a little bit like, if it wasn't like a nice pawn chain, then b4. Now it can maybe be a little bit overextended. But it could be that yeah, I guess now after a potential capture here, now they have like a nice majority over here they should try to use. Yeah, this was not like a way to try to refute their opening play, but maybe it was just not there. Yeah, I was optimistic for a moment, but maybe this is just some, yeah, it's some nice King's Indian preparation. Hard to assume that it's specific against me, since I think I have no games in this line. Maybe some blitz game, but what for sure is like, if you would just then you prepare one of the two, then it would have been more likely I would have played c5. So it's all for going for the Benoni structure. So that would be some crazy preparation if you somehow expected this. If they move the knight, I think I'm just gonna snap it off. Now this pawn in some cases can again be hanging, but yeah, that will. And this pawn now is a backward pawn, so maybe at some point I need to do something about that. It's like some stuff where they can attack with the rook, but yeah, and then there could even then be some pins. An advantage is that this like seemingly passive move of 98 always defends it, and it's like the knight can be passive for a second here before then going active on d6, which is a very nice square for the knight, as long as they can't get in e5. Which maybe it's the biggest problem, that I'm not really well positioned to stop them playing e5 in case a capture here happens. So that could be a reason to play knight e7, then f4. And yeah, this pawn also can get an like sort of isolated, something like bishop here, f4. Yeah, that's very tricky. Yeah, that was the reason I maybe wanted to keep the knight here. So I at least have pressure on d5 always. So if they take, maybe I play c5. But yeah, if they put pressure, then again the question is, are tactics working? Okay, that's maybe a semi-important line. Take. Let's say knight f3, c5. En passant back. Take. Okay, let's see. Yeah, but I know there is no pawn on d5 meer to anymore to like discover attack. And after something like knight, I guess maybe could be big elimination. 94 take. Bishop d4. No. And then I gain a tempo, and in the end take on b2. is that just a massive elimination of the center. So that would be going towards a draw. Which I guess I'm fine with. Take. So take, knight f3, c5, take. What was I saying here? Take here, knight e4. They can take here. Yeah, that's... No, but at least f2 is all... No, they can't. Like, they need to directly capture this knight since this is with a fork. And even, like, they can't, like, for example, step out of this fork since I also have a fork here. That will not be material, but I just win a pawn and get a move. So that's in those lines always, like, bishop e4 is always a forced move. So no. Yeah, I think that's just complete elimination of almost every material. Since if they don't take this pawn on c6, you could say, like, yeah, okay, my pawns are a little bit weak here, but then next I will play rook c8 and c5 and really cement this. I guess they can then at some point try to play with b4. So I need to be a little bit tactically aware. But yeah, I could, for example, once my bishop is on d4 and c5, just put my rook on d8, then b4 is never a thing. The king is still... Like, it's of course by that point so much material will be traded, so it's not like a big problem that the king is in the center, but I still can gain some tempos on it, since, yeah, in that line almost everything. So on the d file, yeah, I guess now that I see it, that whole line, that's not working. That I had, since in this position it's like really hard to imagine since there's so much stuff on the d file, but that whole line was flawed. So in taking c5, no, knight f3. So take knight f3 c5. Now after en passant, after they take, I just have rook d8. There is yeah, some pins and pinning material on the d file. So yeah, it's still very important that so that's, since in that case I'm not sure, maybe they then shouldn't. Okay, they play here. I assume now I need to trade. Could also say, like, a move with a knight is not completely unreasonable actually. But yeah, at least then they could still, like, take and then move the bishop. I think I probably now want to take. Then yeah, now there's clearly now the issue of the king it's mostly resolved for them. This pawn starts to be a little bit of weakness. No, I can play c5 here. That's a typical. Although think, do I go for that? Since if they take en passant, I can now take back with the knight. I have given up my bishop pair in that case, but there is, then again, I have maybe some tactics on the open. The d file is back open. I guess now, after this take here, now they can try to get a second knight. But then I'll trade again. No, that's not possible, since I would have a rook on the 8. I have too much pressure on this. So I think I'm gonna play c5. They could like ignore it, not take en passant. Then probably I want to remaneuver this knight to d6. I need to make sure then. Yeah, this I have a nice blockade and I can get this knight with d6. I can play for f5 later on whenever they capture. Probably take them with the c-pawn. The only thing, yeah, and the c-pawn is also no longer a backward pawn then. Like if they don't capture, I can just get this structure, which is very solid. Yeah, and like c5 here. There's also with the knight on f, like on f3 I probably would have taken, since yeah, now they have maybe some ideas of taking here. And oh yeah, it's not, since they're still like all the same tactics, so it's not clear that's working, but at least that's an idea. But yeah, mostly this would like damage their pawn structure, but probably I play knight f5 then, trying to fight against the f4 break. It seems to be possible, so I think c5 looks good. I think maybe they need to take on. I'm not sure what's best. I'm not like that familiar yet with the structure. Only, yeah, I know I want my knight on the, like if they don't take, I want my knight on d6. It will be a fabulous piece. Like it's hard to like the positive for white in that position is that they have the bishop pair, but it's like a very hard sell to say this bishop will be better than a knight on d6. And if they take en passant, now they're back to needing to solve all kind of stuff on the d file. For example, now back when there's king c2, I back f9 before IDs. The only thing is, with since whenever there are these 3 pawns, the a7 pawn is never really hanging. But now that I have pushed this pawn and it's maybe eliminated later, now I need to make sure that my a7 pawn is not hanging. So, and it's not like super clear yet how I want to solve that. Since yeah, of course my knight on c6 still would be defending a7, but I don't want my knight tethered down to the defense of a7. If I play b6, then my knight will be loose, so I think I almost never would play so in this structure, right? And if I never play b6, and if I play a6, now they have bishop b6 ideas attacking my rook. But maybe that's still like my best option, since I think likely my rook has decent squares on the d file. Mostly since I would have played a6, so there's no like bishop b5 being annoying. Or I guess it's mostly that. I guess on d7 a knight on c5, but knight, yeah, knight. I guess the knight could get this way to c5. Yeah, and it was like now I think it's quite important that the knight is on e2 when I play the c5. It almost, since it almost sometimes would be better on the g1, since on f3 it could be like coordinating with his bishop on this f7 square. So attacking e5 sometimes. And now, yeah, I guess it can get to this square. That's the bestest prospect. It can help in the f4 break, but unclear that that's something that whites want to do, to open up my bishop, and would leave them with like some weak pawn, probably on e4, I think. Yeah. So I hope everyone had a good weekend. Oh, yeah, probably will not be the most exciting game of my season, but yeah, we still have, there are still 4 pieces on the board, so it's still far from dull or anything. And everyone who wants who will play in next season, also maybe people on YouTube, same question, gonna answer. Okay, they take en passant. I think that's what I most likely expected. I think anything else makes no sense. Guess I could be like, it's not impossible to take here with a c pawn actually. With a b pawn, since the d4 knight is not really hanging. No, maybe it is, yeah, but anyway, maybe it's sometimes hanging. But yeah, why would I want to? I take control with the d5 square that does the c pawn. I have an open b file, but they just play b3. That doesn't do anything. I could, yeah, again reinforce this knight. There are some slight positives, but I think it's hard to imagine that I want anything else than 96 here. So I think I'm just gonna play it first. I wouldn't be like super surprised if b takes c6 is a good move, but sometimes I think this is a safe here. I know it's very unlikely there's something really bad with this move. While with the other move there is like maybe in the future that c-pawn ends up weak, or it's are hard things to judge from afar. Yeah. So we now are back to an almost symmetrical position, only here on the king side. I have g6, they have h3, but all other pawns are completely symmetrical. Okay, they fight against this knight before. Maybe sensible. I assume I start with rook d8. Ask them, how are you planning to solve the spin? Assume something like king c2, but then I could be thinking about knight e4. It's certainly a move then. Yeah, so after this move, I'm now also threatening knight e4 actually. So that's nice. So they can play king d2 since I can play knight e4. So rook d8, this is almost forced, I think. And then do I have some, like knight b4 would be winning in that case if there was no a3. There was also other ways to like fight against this idea, but for example, maybe, yeah, I thought maybe king c1 was a valid option. Mm-hmm. 94. Let's say they take with the knight. Yeah. Where does the bishop go? Maybe here. Now this pawn. Is that pawn a weakness, a strength? Okay. There's also like maybe rook c8 is actually not the craziest move. It's not like, since how do they solve? I guess they can play something with rook with a knight c3. So maybe it doesn't do that much. Then I have knights here. Also getting the knight to c5. What do I? No. Rook d4. King here. knight e4. Let's say take bishop here or here. G5, I guess I play h6. And then I want this knight as this potential squares. Okay, let's go for it. Don't want to get too fast, too low on time. I think all my blitz games this month has helped a lot. Like I improved a lot in being low on time. But I think okay, so that was almost a forced move, so that is expected. Yeah, probably it was a completely forced move. I guess theoretically no, then again the spin was there, so no, I think it was literally an only move. I think I'm gonna go for this maneuver. And if they play bishop g5, I guess 8 checks. Yeah, they can maybe trade then. And then maybe argue that their bishop is better than mine. Maybe they are right. Since yeah, this pawn sort of will be blocked. Okay, if I do this, now they can just step out. Not sure, then that's actually good, something they want, but no, let's go for this. Simplify a bit. Shouldn't they will take with knight. Actually, now that I see this, I don't need to allow this straight. Like earlier I was saying that I would play h6, but I could say this bishop on g5 is actually doing nothing. So I can play rook c8 and then do this, my maneuver I wanted to do. That I maybe like. Since here on c5, the knight is looking at a lot of um, amazing dark squares. The only thing I guess I need to be a little bit careful that I don't run into a pin here. Which, yeah, maybe it's... I guess it... Yeah, that's something... Maybe I need to... Yeah, probably just need to preempt that somehow. Since I guess likely the king will then be on b1, so it's not that the knight has any checks. It maybe just start with bishop f8. Since now whenever they attack that knight, I can step out of the d file with my rook. So the line I was saying is this, bishop g5, rook c8, king b1, knight e7. So here, I guess it's like, let's just say they do a passing move. Let's say rook d1, just not an unreasonable move, but probably not the best move. Then knight c5 would run into rook c1. And I think I just lose a piece then. Yeah, probably I then need to take the exchange, but that's probably losing. And yesterday won a game, a full exchange down with like in no real compensation. I created some compensation later, but they could have avoided that. Since yeah, at that point the queens were still on, but they could force the queens off. They had even better than that, but I had seen a variation where a forced queen trade was. But instead they allowed my queen to get active, and then I had compensation with, since yeah, my minor was attacking a lot of squares around their king, and also some at a pawn structure like this, so that was also taking quite a lot of squares away. And then yeah, they had basically no defenders. Yeah, they had only a rook as a defender anymore, so that was yeah, it was... My opponent played like for 35 moves a perfect game, and then made a blunder going from +5 to 0, and then a blunder from 0 to resign in the next 5 moves or something. But still, I was very low on time, but they were still quite decent on time. Feeling a little bit tired actually. I did like the highest mileage in like a very long time. 69 kilometers this week. So I think probably the highest in 2 years or something. Still far from like my peaks of in the past, but yeah, that's already like probably around only 1% of people doing that kind of volume. So, and I also did 2 like intensity trainings, not like not close to maximal effort, but very tough efforts. So yeah, even today I was like hoping to go even a little bit deeper, but I felt I had not it. So instead I decided to just keep it steady high effort. So what do they do here? Expect. And this bishop g5 is sort of a logical move, but maybe also not really forced. But yeah, but this, it's not that their bishop has any. I guess, yeah, earlier I didn't visualize this great, since I was always saying like 95. I think 95 is still like probably the preferred square of the knight. But I, of course, have also just knight e5, which can be nice too. It's probably that if I trade off my knight for this bishop now, maybe this, like my bishop is a little bit stuck behind this own pawn. Although, I guess at least it can not be blocked by the king. But yeah, still there's this idea they have of getting f4, e5 and blocking my bishop, a connection with my bishop. And now this pawn can for sure be overextended. So I need to be aware of that. Probably like keep my knight on the board to keep some dynamic options. I think with my knight can nicely play around this pawn. Since it can also like nicely play on the light squares, which are, they have a light square bishop to fight for these light squares, but otherwise they are quite weakened with this pawn structure. Yeah, and if I at some point can get in d3 now, like really my pieces open up. So even like when it's like a pawn sacrifice, maybe d3 in the future will be interesting. But yeah, I'm not like, I think probably they are better in this position. I think the bishop pair is pretty good here, and like this pawn, it's a pass pawn, but it's also sort of a weak pawn. It's not an IQP since like there are no pawns any longer stopping it, but it's not like also not really a boss pawn. It's like a little bit in between. Like sometimes even in IQP is less can be maybe less weak because that you can still trade off. This pawn I can't trade off anymore. There are no pawns to make contact with. But we are up on time. How is their fast chess? They are very good. Yeah, I guess like man blitz, we are pretty close. But mainly they are way better bullet player. But I'm also not sure how relevant it really is. Like it means that you can just make fast random moves, but we are never going to a phase where we start making random moves. On 45-second increments we can like still make very comfortable moves. So yeah, I think I don't want to allow this trade, so I think I like this idea of giving the check and then 97. Also, a little bit ask him the question, where do they go to? The only thing is, do I need to be afraid of rook trades? Yeah. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, and there is some, like now I see there's some 97, rook c1, trade, let's say I go to whatever square, I'm not sure what is best. They defend, I trade, and now we have this thing where they are gonna sooner than later just capture this pawn. Guess maybe I could instead like get my knight to e6 is also a square, possibly. So yeah, I like how they are playing this. I think they're playing it very nicely. Can I decide to go to try to keep the hooks on? No, the hook it's just gonna go very active on c5. I doesn't think that makes any sense. I think yeah. Still go for this. Yeah, maybe I should have just played h6 actually. Since now they can't get it. I think this was maybe a bit of trying to play a bit ambitious yet. Should just have gone for like now with h6. Now I basically have if they want to play for the win, they really couldn't trade here, since now they never can fight for the c file, since then it's an automatic draw. Even if I lose this one, it still would be a draw then. Yeah, this was that was not it. But yeah, we will play on and see what we can make of this. Hopefully it's not thing too dramatic yet. I guess maybe I can get this like this knight to c6 and make sure they, and that can maybe be an idea. Get this knight to c6. It would be a little bit, yeah, going for the passive approach, but maybe that's at this point warranted. Okay, think I need to trade for sure. And now, is this anything for me? Think I go knight c5 or knight e5. How is it when I trade the dark square bishops? Are they fast enough to like try to get to this pawn? And since I could be like trying to run after their pawn, they could go back to d2, but then, for example, knight c5 IDs maybe are a little bit more tempting, maybe. Not even sure about that, but okay, so something like this. How fast are they trying to get to this pawn? Or can I like attack anything? Yes, yes. See here, they are pretty fast. Don't think I can defend that pawn. For example, yeah, my knight is diagonally to the square. It never gets there in time. Okay. With h6 q5, and then here, and if they go here, now at least this, yeah, I think I'm gonna go for h6 c5, and then knight e5, or bishop here, one of the two. And maybe like I maybe still want to like force off these bishops, but yeah, it was very silly for me to avoid this trade. They probably were not even going for that, so that was. I think I was like, it's like my deep down always trying to avoid draws was getting the best of me. I did yesterday also on my stream something super silly in that sense. Like we were repeating, and I think my only move was to repeat, but I was either way better or maybe even winning, and it was against slightly weaker. So I just made another move, but yeah, I thought, yeah, okay, I give some material then to keep the game going, but then I just went into a 2 pawn down and he came by force. So yeah, it kept the game going, but I just lost like that. So that was, and yeah, on a 3 second increment, like it's against some opponents you can still fly, but this was an opponent that was comfortable on that. He played good. His technique was good afterwards. So, I think that was something similar I had here. I should have just. I can still include the check maybe, but maybe it's not even best. Like, at any point, whenever they play rook c1, I still can give the check, but should just have started with h6. And even if they then, and maybe still then can go to like the same variations, but at least in some lines I can maybe go for the same variations, and in some lines, but then I have at least I've already some more information. Since I now still I'm playing h6, right? So maybe that, for example, if they now play bishop h4, then in those lines I was happy. Or maybe something else, I'm not sure. It's not really relevant. Yeah. Think in this. So yeah, getting this trade would be super desirable. I think getting this trade would be very bad. I think I just lose this pawn. Except if I can get like somehow my king to a very good square. Getting this trade, I think I'm okay as long as my knight is already on a good square. For example, I think I'm quite fine. I will be quite fine trading on e5. for sure when I already have g5 in, since now the knight will be relatively stable on the square. Okay, they go for this. Guess they can go for this reach around. So how do we now do this? This now will be with the tempo on the bishop. Not sure if that how relevant that is, but oh, this is also with the tempo on the bishop actually. And then I guess the bishop needs to go here. Yeah, the bishop is like getting. Maybe I can try to now trade in a favorable circumstances. So this. Since yeah, basically they need to go to c7. And now I can force the trade if I wanted. That bishop also is like a little bit almost stranded. The only thing about this is, yeah, at some point maybe bishop e5 and unclear. I want that trade. I think I will start with this. This is. But the thing about this is now the bishop can escape to e5. Not sure that's any like great square. Also, my knight is now a little bit stable here. Since after b4, knight e6, now this bishop actually maybe can get trapped. Yeah, like this. I think next king f8 actually. I get they have still this, of course. No, that was. Oh, I wanted to do the other move. I think. Okay. Both at advantages. I think I somehow they merged at some point. I was thinking stuff about the one and the other. Yeah. Okay. I'm clearly not sharp right now, but we fight on. Since yeah, now this was what I wanted to avoid. And I didn't avoid it. But maybe in the end I'm not that unhappy with it. Uh, yeah, I need to make sure that I don't blunder this. Although it's not really a blunder actually. Since I just have b6. No, I weaken some like light squares, but no, I guess yeah they can do this b6 and now go here, but then play b4. Yeah, the king needs to go to the center clearly. But yeah, with this, I completely stopped my idea of like trying to force these bishops in any lines. But that was maybe anyway bad. So, yeah. But with this configuration, it's like the bishop is sort of pinned to this pawn. And maybe I was underestimating my position. Like I still don't think I'm better or anything, but maybe it's less dramatic than I thought. Oh, now I see. I even had possibly in this position already this ID. Knight f4 here. I need to go here. Probably. And maybe this pawn is poisoned. I need to make sure before I capture it, but let's say it's not poisoned. And then d3, trade, and I take an end on b2. That actually looks quite good. So that was maybe an option here. So if they don't stop it on the next move, I for sure need to consider that. Yeah, let's first consider, let's say in this, so the bishop probably, yeah, the bishop could go to this direction and then these IDs, no, they are still relevant. So let's say in this position, can I take here or get that knight? And it's hard to imagine how it can get wrapped actually. Yes, specifically a bishop maybe needs to be on g3, but then still here this. Yeah. I guess now they are, yeah, they are threatening this for to start. And yeah, and they are stopping this ID. But yeah, I guess I bring now my king to the center. Stop this ID. guess they have e5, but that would be very committal. Here, check. Here. This. So, e5. And there is still like this check. There are even some checkmating ideas. It's kind of fun. No, that's. But yeah, let's. Surely I have something against that, right? At least this and. No, so this here. Like this bishop is not at all good here, I think. I have like knight f4 ideas back. That they have now this idea. I should have. I think this was almost like forcing it out. Should have gone for that idea. Okay. Next. So e5 is very. But yeah, e5 I just have 97 and I just picked this pawn up, so e5 is out of the question. And just need to then against the check be sure. It's a little bit uncomfortable where to go to. Yeah, that is. It still continues actually a bit. So e5, 97, check. Since there's like almost a magical way, no good square for my king. Like here, there's this pin. And let's say a6, they trade, and I think they're just in time to take this pawn. Oh no, I have f6. No, they cannot take. And they. But maybe not. Yeah, not a6, but just f6 directly. But then they are not forced in trading here. And my pawn structure is a little bit weakened. So maybe not 1097. Okay, they go for b4 instead. That's very committal. Skating weak square here. I think I do this right. The bishop is now forced back to like slightly. Yeah, my knight is also not on the greatest circuit then. So this, maybe they can now go for this idea. So maybe then I need to play g5. Yeah, okay. I think g5 is then an interesting move. They can, like here, like probe maybe some slight weakness, but not that sure it's that weak. Yeah, in some cases this, like, these pawns on knight squares could be long-term a target. So this move is to be considered. Yeah, they do it. And it's also with tempo. That's also very relevant. Yeah, I think I don't have really another choice. It's not that I can do a tempo move here or anything. Yeah. Is there a... No, I can't like trap the bishop. Yeah, that's... No, maybe they have this idea. Can also go in this direction. So, and they get an f4. Nice. Yeah, that's good. What if I still play g5 here? They play g3. Since this, like, okay, my pawn structure is completely wrecked after something like g5, f5, knight f4, take. I can, but I'm not really afraid of that. Like in opposite color bishops, I should be fine. And if they need to play g3, maybe that those pawns are a little bit weak. I hope. Take, take. Yeah, let's go for that. Oh, it's here. The highest it's scoring part 2. I didn't play Chessy Man. Spider is here. Next cat. Don't know. Recognize basilar membrane and Befetcher. Okay. There's some ideas to like undermine the structure, actually. But I guess if I do that now, they play f5 and or maybe not that much afraid of f5. So h5 is actually an interesting move here. trying to break up the structure. So h5, f5. Yeah, the question, that pawn on h5, will that become a weakness? Also, I have now this a6 and so now my knight is a little bit more stable here. Like f5 with this bishop would be like really anti-positional. And it's also not like that there's anything hanging there. Let's see this. h4. That was the idea. Guess they, but yeah, putting all pawns on light squares. Okay, it also puts pawns on my color bishop, but then the more pawns on light squares, the more I would be like also happy to trade the dark squares bishops. So now I have like 2 trades I'm happy with. And it's only then I'm really not happy anymore with the knight for this bishop trade. Okay. We will see how this works. Guess they could go here. Didn't consider that really. Let's say I take, they take. And they take in the end. That's a bit uncomfortable actually. It's probably a good move now that I think about it. Nah, barely. I was thinking here. So here, here, here. Taking. And then they go f5. Ooh. That's, I was saying that I'm happy to see. Guess e5. Need to, like my bishop is like close to getting locked. That's something I didn't. I'm considering a lot of moves not. That's not a great sign. Like if this position remains stable, like this is positionally desirable for me, but I think they can fight against keeping it stable. They have also, for example, h4 here. Like trying to fix pawns on light squares. Although then maybe I can attack that h4 pawn. Yeah, the position is just not stable enough for like positional IDs. Like getting this in. Yeah, I'm really considering after e4, f5, e5, f6. A little bit sad. Getting the biggest pawn ever. But yeah, it maybe can still get out. Yeah, good move, good move. Since this f6, I have like I can do like in between moves, so that doesn't work. I can move my bishop or my king, that are options. But I feel I don't have time for that. Let's say, for example, here. I think no, these pawns are too weak. Yeah. It's not going into the right direction, this. Yeah. We will see. It's mostly this pawn now really starts to be overextended. For now, yeah, and they now also have this square actually. So it's just gonna fall. I don't see. I guess I still maybe have here one tempo. Yeah, maybe it's a thing that the bishop is for now a little bit short of squares. Yeah, actually quite decent short on squares. And since they had this tension, they are not able to keep. But yeah, like, how set are all my pieces? At least Seiko is not here, so he would be laughing at my pieces. This bishop is like is almost trapped, but I can't attack it. That's kind of funny. How? My pieces. Oh, what did I do to my pieces? Long term, this is for sure falling. So can I do something with knight e5? Don't think it actually does something. And I have no squares to attack that bishop. Like this. Yeah, also nice. Yeah, they are just gonna do this. So I think I need to, at all costs, get this bishop out. So I think I'm playing g4 here. Even if I maybe then lose that pawn, then maybe at least I can get this bishop out. And then I maybe have some downing chances. Maybe it's still lost, but that since then it's, for example, if I can get my bishop over here, it's very hard for them to attack this pawn. But maybe they can just like run in with the king, and probably they can do that. Not yet, we will see. Oh no. Okay. Snap, take that. I should have had that on pre-move. At least. No, maybe at some point I can play against this pawn. If they do this, I think this, although it will be three connected passed pawns. Is that the opposite? How is this opposite color endgame? Like bishop here, knight here, take here. But yeah, probably I think that should be. My bishop just stays on the is on the perfect diagonal here. Probably it needs to stay. Yeah, it probably first wants to. I'm not sure how to play that. But we will see. If they want to go for that, I for sure will allow them that. Oh, is there? Yeah, no, I think we need to. So this here. Take. No. Something like here. They move. Yeah, probably that. I'm thinking that's maybe also lost. Maybe if I can get the pawns on dark squares here. So yes. So this. Take b6. Bishop e2, e5. I'm not sure. Let's say they take, since that pawn maybe can be, and the king can maybe relatively fast attack it. No, that's true. I should be fine at that, I think. Put the bishop here. So they never can push, since I happily trade this pawn. Yeah, maybe not super happily, but I think yeah, do I trade that happily? Yeah, I still have like these two central pawns to distract at some point. Okay. But yeah, that's looked the more logical option. No, I absolutely need to get this bishop in the game. But yeah, I think here something. Although the more that's maybe it's not that easy for the king to get in. Maybe this direction. Okay, another pre-move I should have had ready. I put my bishop here. I guess, can I do this? How is that? No, they can't. My pawns promote. King, like, the so this, like, my pawns promote on their own. Don't need the king. Okay. So here, this was my idea. Maybe after taking. Can they have some zugzwangs here? Maybe. I don't really need to think here. I guess they can go this direction. Although I have this idea. That's a nice trap. Does it work? If they play here and push, they can take, since I just promote. And otherwise I win the bishop. That's a nice trap. No, it doesn't work. Nice. This check is nice. Now they can do this ID, I think. Maybe I should have gone. I think this is winning for them. I think they can do this. No, they're not yet. Are they take now? Okay, they can take this pawn too. Think I need counterplay here. If I now just defend, I just lost this pawn for nothing. It should be losing, but yeah. This pawn is I will just, it's not that fast. It's maybe not that many pawns left. How many? 4. This is the wrong color bishop. That's an advantage. So after this, I think here, since I sort of want c5. Nah, I can't really get in a5. Why are they thinking? Like, This is... Are they doing anything else on this? Do they have like some fancy move here? Okay. This... Why not this and this? Yeah, I was saying earlier here, I guess they will attack with the king. Yeah, that makes sense. But then maybe I can get in at least c4. Oh no, I can't, of course. But here, and then getting in c5. Or can my... Or here an a5. Just to try to trade off some pawns. Okay. The king sort of... And it's not like fast grabbing this pawn. I never can really take this pawns, that's annoying, but yeah. No, it was for sure. It has been an interesting game. Yeah, the last. Okay. What's going to play this? Right, it's here doesn't do anything. And I still are, maybe in some cases, the king, at least this pawn really fight against their king. And that's really difficulty, like, to, yeah, I guess it can do this, and then, but then I still can block it, maybe. Maybe their bishop. Yeah, maybe they are just going to be very fast, but with pushing these two pawns. But at least I now have something clear to play for. I think I want to like get rid of okay, no, they go like this, and that's maybe quite slow. Do I go c5 or b5? Yeah, a5 or b5. C5. So a5, take. No, a5 here. Let's say take. c5, and then at least it's more forcing, since maybe I can say I can create another pass pawn myself. And then now like I even can then trade. Oh wow, so if I can get in, although they have also, but I think I'm then faster. Yeah, since the question is, can I then trade bishops? So c5 here, c4. I think they are just in time. Just c5 here. c4 here. Nah, the bishop is just... no, I can do this. Take. They can't... Yeah, they can get into the circle. I guess on c5, but then this pawn will be very fast. At least I maybe want the passer to be as far as possible. Can I put a pawn here? Put a bishop here. Yes. And they're probably just... Now they can take and play e4. But then maybe I can play for them having the wrong color bishop. Maybe. Sort of adopted. Nah, no. That was... I should... So yeah, now the problem is that I never... now I can never trade bishops. Of course, I can trade bishops if the king goes like too far. Maybe the king has some difficulty getting close to the pawn. This. It's sort of courageous shield for the pawn. Of course, they will then do this. But then I maybe can go here and try to sneak in with the king. And that's maybe... Yeah, maybe that's an idea. Okay. Maybe they do this. Maybe I should have gone hit this way. Okay, they don't do that. So I don't have like great waiting moves here. So here, let's say I go here, I go here, and I can go here. Now they can go here, then I here, and I'm again like I'm both controlling these pawns and I'm controlling the king. Maybe. Already so long I'm like lost, borderline lost. But we keep fighting. Sorry team, but yeah, I'm not gonna get as a match win here. That would be a true miracle. I guess you could say I have as many pawns that can be promoted with a bishop than they have. But that's a very silly, arbitrary way to say it. Yes, they do this. So, is there any sensible other waiting move than this? I think, for example, here, I probably want to approach the pawns like this, right? Not like this is not. Maybe I want to go like this, but this, this. I have this check. And here, I know, then I can close in. Although, how is that? Since now they can probably push the king up. Yeah, that is with a check, that's maybe an important factor. I know. So maybe, yeah, but what other, I don't have any real waiting moves. Maybe I need to do a waiting move with the bishop instead. Maybe it was more precise to do a waiting move here. Since this, here, and here check. And if I go back, now they go up. And now, yeah, then it's over. So I can't allow that it's with check. So then I need to move a bishop move. I have no other choice. Guess this. They cannot do this even. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe that's actually the winning method. Yeah, probably it should be winning for them. I think it should be winning. Would have been a miracle if it was not winning. But they still like need to find some stuff. Show some good technique. So here. Also, actually, what is it when yeah, probably they just go this and oh no, I have here. No, then I have this check. Nice. So getting to the bishop to here should no. So let's say they do a waiting move. Yeah, maybe the bishop here is on the okay. And now I need to do this. Can't allow them to get in. They can do this. And I'm in Zugzwang then. Maybe that puts me in Zugzwang. Yes. But also so what I wanted to say is that okay, this, yeah, they do that. Probably a good move. Yeah, I think there is only one candidate move, and it's going here. So this I still can take. I think I can take. So that was the thing that after with the rook pawn, I think I can take. Also this, yeah, this is just strong. Okay. Ah, that's another way to do it. This way, the king gets access to the square. And my king is out of place. Can I still try something here? Like this. Don't see it. Yeah, they're gonna take now just a pawn. So here, let's say go here. That it's even there again. Can kick my bishop out of the way. No. It's over. Do I have any tries left? Yes, 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 yes. Nada. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Doing nothing here. They can even kick me back. Be very precise. Not that the tank taking here is already just winning, but yeah, they are precise. And my king is in a box again. Just try something. Can they now push? No, don't think they can yet push. Oh. What's that for? What's that for a move? Oh. Are we on the time that we can resign? If here we are. Is there any like Zugzwang, like stalemate ideas I can try? Don't think so. They have been so precise all the way. There's no CD. Think it's time. I have even no moves. Since here then they already can push. Yeah. Yeah, very impressed. I I did a couple stupid things. Or maybe not even stupid, but like my thought process was at some points a little bit silly. But yeah. No. Let's see. Who is here still? Who was there all the way with my suffering? Okay. Yeah, bishop d4. So here. B5 I was considering actually. But yeah. Yeah, this. Yeah, I have absolutely no experience in this structure, so. Oh, I forgot to turn off the ads. That was stupid of me. I had that plan, but I forgot. Yeah. Sorry about that. I know I was here slightly worse, but on 94 also not. Yeah, I just didn't understand the position. Here I should have for sure played h6. Now, yeah, even now, even more. Since now the bishop has no like nice way to go. I guess it can go here now. Yeah, so this was exactly, I thought in this way I can trade the bishops. But yeah, they can of course keep it now. At least my pieces are somewhat better. And here it was already falling. But yeah, it was Okay, g5 was just a blunder. Although g3 was then not good. So f5 directly was good. I guess this knight gets trapped. Ah, okay. Yeah, I was saying earlier that, but I know it's this f6, of course. And what do I now? Play f6, e6. And I guess this is a big pawn. I know. Well, that's really nice. No, I saw the right ideas, but always too late, and yeah, since I thought on my just from afar, I thought f5, then that's like positionally nice for me, but I'm too slow. They get directly e5 in, and then here, yeah, it was just all the way lost. Which